Hi, I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment here with my co-host Manny for our August 2025 State of the Saga discussion.
So I'm Manny, and in these monthly update shows, we'll be talking about what we've been listening to, playing, reading, and or watching, and probably just general stuff that's going on with our lives and maybe even recent pop culture happenings.
Before we get started, just a heads up that you can follow me and therefore all of the Geek Saga endeavors at A Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Benissimo Art.
Just a few house cleaning items before we dig in. First, thank you to any patrons who are joining us for the patron-only live stream version of this month's State of the Saga. Second, thank you also to any patrons watching the early release of the live stream recording. You guys are such a big part of helping us keep the lights on, so to speak, for Geek Saga Entertainment, and we truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you and the support you give. Finally, if you're watching or listening to this recording once it's gone public, please keep in mind that we record these approximately 2 to 2.5 weeks prior to their public release. And also, pretty please make sure to hit those like and or subscribe buttons. And if you're catching it somewhere where you can give it a rating, it would really help us out if you could mark it 5 stars. Also, if you aren't already part of our Patreon family, please check out our sponsorship options. For just $5 a month, you can watch our State of the Saga episodes live and get access to our show notes. While for just $3 a month, you get early access to these episodes and all podcast episodes, among some other fun content. Check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
With all that out of the way, we're going to get into our discussion. We're going to kick this month's episode off with news and or gossip.
One of the things I just wanted to touch on, because even though I've been watching it, the show isn't finished for its final season. Resident Alien was canceled, which is sad, but I honestly wasn't surprised. A lot of people I know were really upset about it, but I swear I heard something last year about how the 4th season would be the last season. There might have been like it will only go 4 or 5 seasons, but I don't know. I wasn't surprised to hear this announcement that it was canceled. I feel like they had a planned story and they told it too. Like the ending was a little rushed, but not so rushed that I felt like they filmed this months ago, right? Like they filmed the ending of this season months ago. I don't know how they could have continued the story past what they filmed. But anyway, so like I said, side note, I have been watching it, but because the series finale hasn't aired, it has aired as of this past Friday, but that was like 2 days ago and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So I'm just going to save any thoughts I have on like the final season and stuff for next month. But suffice to say that I still love it. And yes, I'm sad it's over, but not as surprised about it as others seem to be. I wish I could remember like where I saw or heard the thing about it only being 4 or 5 seasons, but whatever. The other thing I have is, this is really random, but recently I got this email that included a link to an article about the 10 least visited states. And I'm over here like, but I visited all of these? To be clear, the list was Vermont, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Maine, Utah, New Hampshire, Montana, Wyoming, Alaska. Now, Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire are no surprise for me, having visited them, because I'm from New England. You can literally get to any one of those states within 90 minutes to like 3 hours from where I grew up. Like, you could get to Vermont within 90 minutes. Really, I think it was more like an hour. And you could get to Maine within like 3 hours. So I also ski. A week-long winter ski trip used to be like one of my big vacations of the year. So like that checked Montana and Wyoming off my list a long time ago. To be fair, I've only ever crossed over into Utah briefly from Arizona to visit Monument Valley, but it's still counts. I stepped foot out of a car and have pictures in a national park. Yeah. Alaska is the big one, because Alaska is like a very expensive place to visit, even if you're going on a cruise, which is what I did. But I worked for a travel agency a billion years ago in another lifetime for a short while. And I went on my Alaska cruise on like a pretty big discount. So yeah, anyway, I was just like, wait a minute, I've been to all of these. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I have a lot of friends who've been to all of these. And some of that is definitely the New England thing, but I don't know. Yeah. I get that they're and the other one was South Dakota. I forgot about South Dakota and Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I actually randomly visited a friend who went to college there for like spring break one year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I had already visited Oklahoma, but now I've driven through it end to end practically twice. And then South Dakota, that one was a long shot, but obviously Dean and I went there last summer for the Red Dead event that happened in Deadwood. So I don't know, like I totally get that these are the least visited states, but some of them, Maine and like Vermont particularly, are, you know, they're like really cool places to visit. And so like the national parks and everything in Montana and Wyoming, like you don't need a ton of money. If you can get yourself there, you don't need a ton of money to be there there and see like the best things that these states have to offer. So that's just my random, like, I feel like I'm part of like the travel department for some of these states right now, but that's just I had so little to talk about that I was like, I'm just gonna talk about this because I've had this article up on my computer because I've been wanting to talk about it with someone.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny with a lot of those articles though, right? Some of those articles I just kind of want to call BS on. I literally saw an article like a month ago that said Atlanta was one of the best places to drive with the nicest people. And I was like, look, dude, I live in Atlanta. They literally, yeah. And they were like, oh, it's the safest place to drive. I'm like, that's interesting. Then why is it like number 5 or number 3 in the highest insurance rates ever? Something doesn't quite add up here. Some of those articles are legit and they're true, like, sure. But some of them, I'm just like, bro, I'm calling bullshit on this one.
For this one, for the least visited states one, it's like a statistics thing. I believe that these are the least visited states, but I agree. I get a lot of, I don't know if somehow I signed up for something years ago or somebody signed me up for something to mess with me, but I get a lot of these daily passport emails and stuff that are highlighting places that maybe people don't visit that often. And some of them I'm like, who paid you to write this?
Yeah. Like somebody paid you to write this. I understand some of those states being like the least visited, but a lot of these states are states that I've not been to that I've always wanted to go to. Like I've always wanted to go to Utah. I've always wanted to go to Wyoming. I've always wanted to go to Alaska. But you're right. I think with certain things like Alaska, that's kind of a big trek with
Utah kind of surprised me because a lot of people in the surrounding states, it's sort of like Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine too. A lot of people in the surrounding states or even farther will drive or fly there for skiing. Like Utah has a huge ski area. And then there's Salt Lake City with Brigham Young. Is it Brigham Young? Whatever the Mormon university is. And like, I find it surprising. Utah was probably the most surprising one on that list just because there's so much there, particularly their big ski thing. And it's easier because of Salt Lake being such a major airport. It's easier to get to than say Wyoming or Montana, where even their biggest airports are pretty small.
Well, I have 2 news gossip things that I'm going to bring up. One of them is more on the entertainment side. So I saw that they had finally casted for the show for The Legend of Zelda, and very disappointed that they did not put Hunter Schafer in there because I thought she was absolutely perfect. But I see what they're doing. They're going for like a different avenue of like Zelda. I don't feel like they're going to screw it up. And the reason I say that is because Nintendo is so protective of their IP since the wonderful Super Mario Brothers movie they made back in like 91 or whenever that was, that they were just like, we're never letting anyone touch our stuff ever again.
Oh, shut up. I love that movie. I recognize ridiculous. That it's not good, but I still to this day love it.
Yeah. Because my eldest, is a huge Zelda fan. And I was like, look, even when they made like the recent Mario movie, like the animated one, like that was good and it was cute. And I was like, okay, I can see where Nintendo made sure to have their hands in it the entire time. So I feel like with this one, I feel like it's going to be good. It's not the casting that I wanted because I was really excited about Hunter Schafer, but okay, whatever. It is what it is, I guess.
Who did they cast?
It was somebody else, somebody younger. You can tell they're going for like the younger route is what it was because Hunter Schafer, I think, is a little older. But I just felt like she was so perfect. Like she had the look for it. And it would have been great for when they do like the Chic storyline also. I'm not losing money on it. So, I don't care. But I would have casted her instead. So the second thing is the update is I want to talk about the cross-country road trip situation. I'm not going to get super detailed into it, but just give you just kind of like a one sentence thing that what happened. It was a fiasco and I was trying to get through security. And let's just say there was a case of technical difficulties or mistaken identity when I tried to go through it. So they probably could have got it resolved in time, but did not. And due to the time constraints of when you were leaving and trying to get back cross-country, it wouldn't have panned out. The issue's corrected, but yeah, I just want to lightly touch base on that just so, people don't think I just bailed at the last minute or something.
I feel like if you had just bailed at the last minute, I would have been angry with you.
Yeah.
Like there would have been some obviously extenuating circumstances like this was where I, yes, it was upsetting and frustrating and I was freaking out because I was like, I have to leave, soon, but it wasn't like at you or with you because shit happens. It would have been like if somebody, God forbid, like one of your kids or something like broke their leg that day and you couldn't make it. Obviously, I'm not going to be mad at something that is like so far out of your control. So yeah. But if you had just been like, yeah, actually, I'm not coming like the day of, I would have been like, ooh, that's a big like a wrench in our friendship, my man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe not a friendship ending thing, but definitely a wrench.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna touch base on that one. So
Yeah, yeah. So do we want to do our Reddit stories? Did you get a Reddit story picked
I
out?
did get a Reddit story. It
Okay.
was a little random, but it was the one that kept sticking in my head because I kept laughing at it. And I was going through Reddit because I've been reading a lot of stories. And for some reason, this one just kept sticking in my head because I just had a visualization of what had happened. So
Mhm.
back in 2017, there was an airplane that left Mogadishu. And on board was your terrorist. He had some kind of bomb or something in his laptop. So he goes to detonate it. I couldn't confirm the story of him getting sucked out of the airplane, but that is how the story goes. This airplane was at cruising altitude or almost getting there. It was like 20 minutes outside of Somalia at this point. The guy detonates it for whatever reasons they feel necessary to murder innocent people. It blows a hole into the side of the airplane and the guy gets sucked out. No one else got hurt. No one else died. And the airplane landed without incident turning around. For some reason, from all the Reddit stories, that one just kept sticking in my head because I just
Yeah.
kind of kept cracking up at it.
Yeah, like talk about I mean, honestly, thank God, failed mission.
But I just like wonder, whatever the reasoning is, I wonder how that presents like in the afterlife if there is one. Like, so dude, you kind of failed at your mission. You still went through with it, but you kind of failed. I don't know why that story stuck among the other ones, but I kept visualizing in my head and I just thought it was hilarious because
Mine's a
nobody got
little,
hurt.
well, except for the person who, let's be real,
Who
probably
did it,
deserves to
rightfully
get hurt.
so.
So mine's a little more like serious and it's pretty recent. And I didn't have time to like figure out a way to paraphrase it. So this is from r/relationship advice about a week or two ago. And there's a couple of reasons I picked this one, even though it's not funny, it's not positive, it's kind of dark in a way, but it has some similarities to some things that I've been through in the past, and not exactly by any means, but some similarities for sure. And also it involves people in nerd culture. That kind of flagged it for me right there. The title of the post is I, 27 male, discovered my wife's 30 female family was behind my vicious cyberbullying attack. My wife knew, but she hid it for years. How do I move past this?
Oof.
He's saying the marriage is in a really bad spot after this deep breach of trust. He doesn't know how to recover or how to trust his wife again. For some context, they had been together for 7 years and married for 5. They have a 2-year-old child. They met at a convention. He thought her cosplay was amazing. They struck up a conversation. The rest is history. He says she's the most loving, unselfish, and decent person I've ever met. Oh, this sounds great. Their relationship wasn't without its challenges. Their biggest obstacle was her family. His presence was unwelcome. They're very close knit. And if one of them doesn't accept you, then you're not getting far in this family dynamic. There are a few family members who have broken away from the pack, but the other family members still involved, barely acknowledge them. They're like basically no contact. And I don't know if they're referred to as black sheep by the family or if the ones who have kind of been broken off are calling themselves black sheep or what, but that's how he refers to them throughout this. So they're no contact and black sheep. He didn't know how his wife's family was, but he knew that her family was extremely important to her. Her whole upbringing was based around her family. So he tried everything to make things work, even though they were really against him. He said they didn't really put up with me until our son. I guess it means they only started putting up with him because they knew they would want to see the kid. Between their wedding planning to shortly before the wedding, he was the target of some relentless and vicious cyberbullying. It got personal. Fake bad reviews polluted his business profile. It cost him potential clients. He doesn't know where it came from or why. He couldn't find a solution to it. He'd report things, but it would take a while for anything to be done, or there would be more accounts coming out for another round. This whole thing very obviously impacted his life and his mental health. It took a really big toll on him. Throughout this, his wife was very supportive. He said she was my rock and my best friend. I loved her even more for her care and how she held me down. Then the trolling and everything stopped. He just wanted to move on. He put it all behind until recently his wife confessed that her family was behind the harassment. He didn't believe her at first, but she was serious and showed him proof in their family group chat. He says, it felt like I was right back there again. They were gloating and justifying themselves, saying stuff like, some people got to learn the hard way. And if he wants to join the fold, here's his initiation.
Oh my God.
He knew he wasn't their favorite person. He never realized they hated him this much and would go to such extremes. He asked his wife when she found out and if she was a part of it. She swore she wasn't a part of it. She'd never do that she didn't initially know it was her family until a few months before their wedding. One of his sister-in-laws left a profile up on her phone. His wife saw it. Must have been one of the ones that was leaving him a bad review or something. So she confronted her family and made them stop. Now, they've been married for like 7 years. So presumably this has been 7 years-ish that she's kept this a secret, even though she knew it was them. So he asked why she was telling him everything now. And she said it was weighing on her. And then she opened up to her oldest sister, who's like one of the family's black sheep. And the sister said, if you don't tell him, I'm going to. Now he's saying like nothing his wife said made it better. She knew for years what her family did and hid it from me. She kept everything quiet, and it hurts more coming from her because like she knew how bad things were for him. He's pretty numb. His wife is anxious, keeps pushing for him to say something. And he told her like, there's not anything you can say right now that would make it okay. What you did wasn't really any better than what your family did. They made my life hell. And your first instinct was to cover for them. Yeah. So she's crying, begging him to understand. He's not being like very receptive. He asked her for space and she's not respecting that request. She just wants him to let it go and not allow it to have any claim on him. And now like he thinks, I thought you had my best interest at heart, but now I'm just seeing this as an attempt to protect your family again. He hasn't confronted anyone else or anyone that was directly involved. He doesn't think they're worth it. But he, made it clear they're not allowed to see their kid until further notice. And now he's getting texts about how he's depriving his child of grandparents and aunts over past family spats. So yeah, he's saying like this, the hardest part is like being what the problems this caused with him and his wife. She's his best friend, his partner in every way. Now they're basically only communicating about their son and other household necessities. She's hurt by his rejection and she's been crying a lot. And he's like, I don't know if I'm being unfair to her. I want our marriage to work, but I'm questioning everything about our relationship up until now. I'm really lost. He asked, how do I navigate this situation and move forward for his marriage and himself? What would you do?
I have questions on this one.
Yeah.
So is it still going on now, or that was something that happened 7 years ago?
No, this all happened right before they got married.
Okay. So I guess the question would be is that whether there was any long-term effects from the damage that they had caused, number one. I guess that would be like the first thing, honestly. And the reason I say it's the first thing is because if the wife knew about that, at that point, I would be on the fence of just being like, bye. So that wouldn't be my top concern at that point. My top concern would not be the marriage. My top concern would be like, okay, well, how did this affect me in a life goal here? Because I do have a kid to take care of.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that would be the number one priority. The wife, honestly, the next question I would have was that, did she make any attempt to get these people to stop doing what they were doing? Right.
It sounds like she did. Yeah. The issue isn't that she didn't tell them to stop. It sounds like she did tell them to stop. And I know I tried to loosely paraphrase a few things, but from what I'm reading, it sounds like she tried to get them to stop. They did, but she also never told him about the whole situation. He seems to be most upset about the fact that she never told him, and that even though he's having to relive this traumatic experience all over again and he's hurting all over again, she wants him to just forget about it. It sounds like those are the two biggest issues. You didn't tell me, and now you're telling me I should just let it go.
Well, and the thing is also is that, she went to her sister, I guess, or other family member to kind of get the weight off her shoulder. And it just seemed that something happened when that person threatened to like unveil it. So then she had no other choice but to face the music or let the other person do it, which would be worse.
Yeah. And that's actually what some of the top comments are saying, just to like touch on a couple of these. The first top comment was, I think what's bothering me the most is that your wife is still not getting it. She doesn't understand how vile her family is. And if they did it once, they could do it again. They presumably took this person's money, his peace of mind, his confidence. And even though she stopped it, she never told you all these years, leaving you to wonder why and who. And then he says, and past family spats, it's not like this is a little tiff and they apologized and you won't let it go. And this person suggests therapy for both of them, which would be my suggestion, obviously my first suggestion. But, then another person said, I don't think I could come back from this. Your wife defended people who tried to ruin your life for no reason. They aren't just strangers. They're her family. What if this happens again? Can you count on her being there, sticking up for you and taking your side? Highly doubt it. Feel that one hardcore. Been there. In a way.
Yep.
And then the third one is she let them hurt you. You were hurt because her family's messed up. Then she covered it up. She didn't defend you or seek justice. And now like you're stuck because you're married, you have a child together. And she thinks that like everything should be okay because she was honest, but she was forced to do it by this black sheep sister who is apparently the only one who has any morals. And there were more comments that I glanced through that a lot of them were like, well, so wait, she wouldn't have told you if her sister hadn't threatened to tell you herself. Like,
nope. And with there being like a kid in the mix also there, I think that makes it worse because now you're talking about his ability to provide for his family, her included. Number one, why would any family do that? Number one, that is so beyond my level of comprehension that I'm just like, that's way above my pay grade because I don't understand that at all. and you're going to destroy this person's life. Why? Because he has to go through the ranks or some bullshit. Do you do that to everybody? And the wife could have done it many different ways. The wife could have told that the black sheep family member and said, hey, this is what's going on, but I don't want to be the one to reveal it. I need some help. You're already the black sheep. Can you figure out a way to get this out there? That would have been one thing. However, her cover would have been blown the second her family got nabbed. And then she was like, well, she knows all about it. And it's like, that's your husband also, dude. Even if it was just your boyfriend, you definitely should not do that kind of stuff. This is one of those situations that I would just go scorched earth with, where I would just be like, okay, you're going to do that. I'm completely cutting everyone out. And a matter of fact, I might file a restraining order against every single person here involved.
Yep.
So that way you guys can't get anywhere near me or my child, because he was providing for the family. I mean, maybe she had a job too or whatever, but he's trying to provide for his child and all this stuff. And they are purposely sabotaging him.
Yeah, sabotaging his business, like that is fucked up. All of it's messed up. The online harassment, all of it's messed up. But like to go after his money, like what are you trying to do? Like make him like not able to provide for, like you said, I'm sure she could have had, like she probably had a job too or whatever. But like in this day and age, you pretty much need a 2-income household, especially if you have kids. Unless one of you is generationally wealthy or a lawyer or a doctor or something making 6 figures a year, both people need to be making money.
I think that when it comes to this kind of family dynamic, is that what you have is you have a typical family full of pieces of shit, right? And they fucked their life up by doing or just being the pieces of shits that they are. Okay. And what they do and what everyone loves to do in that realm is they love to just fuck something up so they can hide behind it. They're going to purposely sabotage something to say, wow, look at how messed up this person is, because they're doing it to hide their own inadequacies. At this point, I would literally, like, I'm sure you probably couldn't file some type of civil suit at this point. It's been 7 years. There's probably a statute of limitation about it.
Yeah, it depends on what you're going for, but usually it's anywhere from like 2 to 5 years. So
the best way to go scorched earth that I would have done, my path in this, I would just go scorched earth, file restraining orders, and just be like, don't get anywhere near my kids or anything like that. The wife, I would say that's probably debatable. You know, that could probably get worked through. I mean, if it was weighing on her even this much time after the fact, and especially after the fact that it ended, that would give me some glimpse of hope that she has a heart and maybe she just feels bad and just didn't know what to do at the time.
Yeah.
And as much as I would love to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, this may be an instance where it would take a little more kind of dynamic thinking when it comes to that. And especially since it's the wife and, you know, you guys are married at this point, I would think I would be more disappointed and it would probably take many years for that to like recover. But I would definitely go scorched earth with the rest of the family and be
yeah.
Because in the end, it's like if they did it to him, they're going to do it maybe to somebody else also.
Or have already.
Or have already. And it's like, I cannot be associated with people who do those kind of things. And I would go very public with it also. Like I would make an entire Reddit post and I would name names. And I would show everything and be like, these are who these people are. If you want to get dumb, like, okay, we'll get dumb. That's fine. But
yeah, and I believe this person posted from a throwaway account, but at the same time, there's enough details in here that if all of the details of it are true, then if you're part of the situation, you could easily figure out who does that? Who has time for that? Who has time to watch people like that?
I don't understand that. And I know that you have more experience. You're right, because this is very similar to some of the things that you have gone through. And I don't understand that. I don't understand going after someone's, let's just say, trademark or, you know, business or things that they go through. Because in the end, if there's problems, you sit down and you hash it out, you talk it out, or you just agree to disagree and just don't associate.
Go scorched earth, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a big believer in cutting people out like cancer. It's like, look, if they're a problem, you just cut them out. And I just keep my mouth shut. I don't have an ego like that. I don't need to prove my point. All I need to do is to remove the problem. And it's disappointing to see things like that, especially like in this story where you have grown ass adults doing this. I can see this, like, let's say in some perfect world, we were all able to open up our own businesses while we were in high school and we were 14 years old. And somebody doing this, yeah, sure. Okay, that makes sense. They're just a bunch of kids. But with people being like at this age and doing this kind of stuff, it's like, how miserable of a person are you to like do these things, dude? Look, I have said terrible things to people that I didn't like, that I had to go back and apologize for, even though they deserved it. Because I'm just like, man, look, I can't do that. And I'm not going to ruin someone's life regardless of how much I hate them and be able to like sleep at night. Because in the end, it's like, dude, what the fuck does it matter? And if your daughter is marrying this guy, don't you want the best for them? Don't you want her best opportunity and the child's best opportunity to like move forward and to have a successful life so they can take care of this kid? And this is what you're going to do? Ugh.
It's funny. Like, part of the reason I was like, "Ooh, let's do this like Reddit thing." Part of it came from some of the things that Cam and I listened to on the cross country drive. Part of it also came from like, I have been essentially harassed because of Reddit stuff. One of my ex's supposed best friends shared one of my YouTube videos on Reddit, totally encouraging people to make fun of me, even though it was just like a friend and not a family member. And even though at the time my significant other did call this person out and everything, but it was kind of like too little too late at that point because there were already issues with this friend. And so it was like, this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, essentially. But grow the fuck up. Why is anybody, and I'm assuming like the parents were possibly involved. What is going on in these people's brains? Now, I will say that this person really seems to love his wife. And she does seem to have a lot of really great qualities, and they have a kid together. My first thing would be boundaries. She needs to be the next black sheep. She needs to initiate herself into the black sheep fraternity, sorority, whatever, and cut off every single family member who was involved in that shit. There's no way he's ever going to be able to get beyond this if she doesn't do that.
No, exactly. And that would be the line that I would draw in the sand. That would be the ultimatum.
Yep.
Or it'd be like, you can cut off your entire family and they're never going to see the kid again. They're never going to see you again because of who they are. And they're not going to see me again. You can either get on that train or that train rides as a 2-passenger where it's just me and the child and you're going to get left at the station, girl. And then you can decide, do you want your conniving line family because they're family or whatever? Or do you want your family that is me, you, and the child, and then moving forward? And I think that would be an instance to where I would be able to get over it. But there would certainly be consequences to it. There would be a response to it from me. And I would just cut them off because that's the best way to hurt them. Be like,
well, and he's already done that with the kid, at least.
Good for him.
But the ultimatum of her having to go scorched earth with her family members who were part of this, and then therapy. The only thing that's going to fix this is therapy. At the end of the day, whether you give that ultimatum or not. You know, it sounds like she's not respecting boundaries and stuff, which is not good. But at the same time, she's not handling it right. I do understand that, but I also think that there's something there to work for if she's willing to try in the right ways. So anyway.
Yeah, and I think so. I think that they could repair that between them both. But again, there has to be a response and there has to be consequences. And it doesn't necessarily have to be against her. I get it. She felt bad about it. It was weighing on her. And you know what? Sometimes people can't open up about the truth. Sometimes they have to get their feet put in the fire to get it. The fact that she opened up to her sister or whatnot about it shows me that she has a heart because it's something that had ended a while ago, but she was still thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that would be one of the instances where I'd be like, well, you know what? Even though you didn't come forward and someone threatened to come forward, that's why you came to it. The fact that you spoke about it, that it was bothering you all these years later shows that you do care about what happened and you do care about me and what they did. And that would kind of be the like saving grace there.
I'd love to know, like, fly on the wall, what the catalyst was for her finally, like, talking to her black sheep sister about, like, I would hazard a guess, and this is literally just a guess, that it has something to do with their kid. Like, their kid is getting to an age where he's going to remember things, and she was starting to be concerned about him or her being around, like, her family when they had been doing this horrible thing. Maybe her family still is not respectful to the kid's dad, because that's also a problem. If your kid is hanging out with their grandparents and their aunts and or uncles, and none of them are showing like proper respect for the other parent, it's like,
Bad.
Let's move on to some.
That was a good one, though.
I thought so
was
too.
A good one. And I felt it was very applicable to
the things I've experienced in the past.
The things that you've experienced. The only Reddits that I can find that could have been applicable in my life was the "Am I the antagonist" one? You know, like, or what is the other one? The what is it called? It's like the passive aggressive one, and I can't remember what it's called. Malicious compliance. It's malicious compliance. That's the one. Yeah. I would have found something in there that was applicable to me, no doubt.
I'm sure we'll find some interesting ones for next month. So
yeah.
Okay, so continuing on with what have we been watching, etc. We're obviously watching first. What have you been watching lately?
Honestly, a lot of the things I've been kind of getting lost in, like in the YouTube rabbit hole with like certain things, just the economy and how it's kind of bullshit. And there was something I saw recently that had to deal with liminal spaces. And it talks about why is it that like Generation Z or whatever generation, I don't know which one is which, but why do they reminisce and miss things that did not exist within their time frame? Technically, they would have been babies in these situations. Why do they miss these things? The video was really good. I wish I could remember what it was because I would credit the person because they were really good at the way they explained this. That these are the kids that talk about the back rooms and all these kind of things, which the back rooms is really just a subset of like that liminal spaces kind of thing. Places that should be busy that are not busy if it's, that something is off, right? The guy goes on for a while and he like talks and he's like, think about it. What it is that they miss, nobody is reminiscing necessarily about the mall that they used to go to back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s when you were a kid. And the mall's not there anymore and it's dying and all that kind of stuff. Because people have this weird concept of nostalgia. I'm very nostalgic for like the original Nintendo, right? Like I play it. Why? Because I was a kid at the time. And the
Mhm.
guy goes off on this rant and he eventually breaks it down to it's like, that's not necessarily what you miss. What you miss is the time in which it existed per se. So when you think about things that were pre-September 11th, there was a hope for the future. There was the hope that you would be able to buy a house, that you could buy a car, that you can get a reasonable job and survive. So he talks about it in the grand scheme of things to where it's like when you think about the sense of nostalgia, it's not the mall that you miss. It's not the entertainment system that you miss. It's not the movie that you miss. It was the hope of that time period that was there at the time. Because regardless at that time, I know that you're a little younger than me, but you're not that much younger than me. You would have
No,
been in
I
the
think
same
maybe
time
4
frame.
years.
Yeah, you would have been definitely in that same time period to where we had this hope for the future. We had all these things. So when we look back at these things, these nostalgic things, videos, you know, they do a lot of these AI videos where it's like, oh, the mall when it's empty. And you get kind of nostalgic about it because you're like, wow, I
Yeah.
remember that's what the mall is, you know, and stuff like that. It's not necessarily the mall that you miss. It's
No, God,
just
no.
no, it's really just that time period and how we envisioned the future at the time, as opposed to what it is now, right? Because what it is now is literally a garbage wasteland. So it was very fascinating. And he even broke it down to the sense, which tackled me personally, right? Because what do I listen to? I listen to a lot of lo-fi and a lot of chill
Mm.
hop stuff. And he's like, you ever notice that like lo-fi and chill hop really kind of dates back from the early days of hip hop? That's what it is. Those
Mhm.
beats and all that stuff really comes back to the early days of hip hop's anywhere between 89 and like 91 or 92. And he's like, but if you listen to it now and you listen to it the way that they present it in lo-fi, something sounds off. It sounds a little slower. It speeds up and it slows down. He's like, so in essence, what it's doing, it's demonstrating the death of something is what it's doing because it's off. It's going slower. It sounds more cracklier or whatever. So it's almost like listening to these things, but in a dying state, which is
Mhm.
where, I don't know how to say it properly, but like where our concept of nostalgia is clashing with what the reality of the situation is. It's that
Yeah.
our childhood is dead. The things that gave us hope is dead. All those things are dying, you know? So when you listen to these things and they sound off, they sound a little slower, the beats are slightly off, and your brain is sticking to it and you love it so much, but there's like a message behind it, which is pretty much, yes, these beats is what you were listening to back in the 90s, and that's great. The reason it sounds off is because it is dying or dead. Super fascinating. And I know that that was kind of like a mind screw right now, but that's like where my brain has been going. And then I've been getting into a lot of talking about ancient alien types of things and just watching random videos of how turbulence works, you know? And that's pretty much, you know.
Hey, whatever. It's something.
It's something, you know. So my brain has been going down that weird rabbit hole
Down
where I
down
watch
lots of rabbit
one
holes.
video. Yeah. And then it's like the next thing, and the next thing you're jumping on the next thing. But the thing with the liminal spaces really hit hard with me because it kind of really kind of deconstructed what I couldn't verbalize that I would feel when I would watch these things. And the way he kind of verbalized it and deconstructed it was actually quite beautiful. And I think that's all I've been, I think that's all I've been watching really.
That's fine. I mean, to be honest, I haven't really watched a ton of stuff recently, at least not anything like worthy of really talking about. Things
Mhm.
I am continuing or have been continuing to watch. Gilded Age on
Mhm.
HBO. Still good, like I said last month. And I think I keep saying like I'll just give my thoughts on it once the season is finished, which will be, I want to say, I think the season finale, if it's not tonight, it might be next week or so. It's
Mhm.
definitely wrapping up soon. But the other thing was And Just Like That, which is the Sex and the City
Mhm.
like one. It's maybe like slightly less cringe now because Carrie and Aiden broke up again. And if you don't know who these people are, it was one of Carrie's like main relationships from the first series that I was like, really? They're bringing this back? Like, now Aiden is divorced from his wife, but he has like 3 kids with her and like the kids are problems. And so yeah, the show is like slightly a little bit less cringe now because they finally fucking broke up again. And even though their breakup was also repetitive in a way from the original Sex and the City, the weird relationship situation, I can't even call it a situationship because they were supposed to be in a relationship, but weird relationship situation that they were in was just like, whatever. It was getting on my fucking nerves. So they're broken up now. And actually, I don't know. There's one more episode this coming week, I believe. So I doubt I will have like any extraneous thoughts on it because it's kind of like, I'm just watching it because it's a weird nostalgia thing for me. It's like, how bad can they still make this?
Let me ask you a question when it comes to this, okay? Do you feel like you watched Sex and the City back in the day, right? I assume that you liked it because you finished it, you went through it. Do you feel that anything that comes out after that, do you ever see it as actual canon or just fan fiction?
Well, I mean, in this case, it is canon because it's creators and everything.
No, I get that. But like in your brain, like I'll give you an example. I was a huge fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then they did Star Trek Picard. Love it or hate it. Some people liked it. Some people hated it. Whatever. Even though technically it is canon, in my brain, it's fan fiction. So that's why, let's say, when they did the Star Wars prequels and they did the sequels to Star Wars, right? Star Wars prequels, Star Wars sequels. I understand that people grew up with those and they liked them and they consider it as part of the full story. And that's great. I always tell people, look, I'm not on Lucasfilm's payroll. Okay. If you liked it, then hey, enjoy it. That's fantastic. And I'm glad that you liked it. Like, I'm glad that somebody got. However, for me, I felt like it took away from the story. So in my mind, I'm like, well, that's just fan fiction. I can write that off as like, that's just someone else's concept of what it should have been, even though the prequels were George Lucas technically. But to me, when they bring things back sometimes, I always wonder how people view that. Like, is this just like a more of a fun fan fiction, or would you consider it actual canon kind of concept?
Yeah, in this particular situation, it's hard to say because the original Sex and the City, the 4 main characters were Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda, and Samantha. Samantha is not involved in this new show at all.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of like, there's been a lot of like, do her and Sarah Jessica Parker have drama? Do they dislike each other? Is that why she's not involved? There could be some truth to that. Kim Cattrall herself has just straight up said, like, that was a time in my life. It's over. I'm over it. I don't want to do it again. Also, as an artist, as an actor, understandable. But then like the main plot point of especially like the first season and into really the second season of the new show was that Mr. Big, Carrie's husband, who she like eventually married in one of the movies, I think the first movie, whatever, he dies. He has a heart attack in the first episode. And it's like, I want to say I remember reading something that Chris Noth was like, I don't want to be involved in this. And that's why they did it. But I could also understand them doing that because like they still wanted to tell a Carrie story, and you can't really tell a Carrie story if Big is still.
Well, I think that with that, because I remember reading that when they had killed Mr. because that was one of the characters I knew from when the show came out, because I always heard about it. This was the problem I had with the sequel series to Star Wars, like the ones that had Daisy Ridley or whatever, all those people, right? It seemed like in every episode or every movie, they were killing off one of the legacy characters because they didn't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, guys, do we not do narration anymore? Do we not do some type of flashback? Do we not do something? And it just feels like every time they resurrect shows, it's literally just so they can do, I don't know. It's like going to the morgue, It's like, okay, which character is going to be on that bed today? Who's going to die today? To where something like Mr. Big, I would have preferred, even though I never watched the show, right? I would have preferred something else happen. Maybe it just didn't work out. I really appreciated, what was it? Mad About You, that show Mad About You, where the kid grows up and then the kid is doing the narration at the end of the show. And it's like, oh, my parents had problems and they separated for a while. And then they came back together, and it kind of gives you this like backstory kind of what had happened in that time, where I feel like something like Sex and the City would have benefited more with something like that. I don't know the show. I'm completely unfamiliar with it, but to like get a person out there and just boom, tragic. Okay. Like I get it. I guess there was no other place for the show to go except to like be building off of some tragedy to like move forward. But the problem is that when you have a show that is so important to people and the characters are important, like, bro, why bring them back just to fucking kill them, dude? You think I wanted to see fucking Han Solo get killed? You think I want to see Luke Skywalker die? You think I want to see Carrie Fisher? You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking get killed? It's like, dude,
to be fair, I think Carrie Fisher probably would have stuck it out till the end.
She would have, if
in real life she hadn't passed. Bless Carrie Fisher, poor.
I wouldn't have put it past the writers to fucking kill her.
Yeah.
Okay, it's as simple. I'm sure she would have absolutely loved Carrie Fisher. Would have loved to have seen her in every Star Wars movie moving forward. But I wouldn't
Hmm.
have put it past the writers to fucking kill her to create some false sense of tragedy and all this kind of stuff. And it just feels like cheap writing almost,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, we're going to bring all these characters back. Why? So we can start killing them off one at a time. Because if you look at a lot of these resurrection shows, that's what they do. They're
Yeah.
just like, oh, we're going to kill off characters. They did it in Picard, right? They killed off Data in the first season. Like, oh, great. Second season, no problem. You remember that guy you liked, Q, that everybody loved? He's like, guess what? Dead. In the third season, it's like, who else do we have that we can kill off? I know we can get Tim Russ, right? Oh, he's a changeling, so clearly his other character is dead. Look, Commander Shelby, who was like this character that people didn't like because she was too strong-willed woman kind of thing, but she was a fantastic character. Ro Lauren, who was played by our great Admiral Kane, right? Like they brought her back for season 3. What did they do? Kill her. Why? Like it's cheap writing, dude.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like in terms of whether or not it's canon, it's like I don't know.
Personal
I think
preference, I
in
guess,
this, and in this situation, I just don't care enough. It's the problem. Having gone off on that tangent, things I've watched because why not? I had nothing else to watch include The Hunting Wives on Netflix. It can be summed up in 3 words. Everyone is awful. I thought it was a limited series, but then it got to the end and it ended on like a pretty major cliffhanger. So maybe it's not a limited series, either that or they're just ending this 8 episode or 10 episode show, whatever it was, on a pretty major cliffhanger. So I forgot to look up whether or not it had been renewed. But yeah, everyone is awful. It's like this couple from Boston area moves to Texas and the wife, there's a lot of bi/lesbian stuff going on. And I don't know, it was a thing I watched and everyone was awful, except for like the children, maybe. Well, some of the children. The other thing is Ginny and Georgia, which is another Netflix show. And from the preview clips of early seasons that kept being pushed on me, it looked like it had Gilmore Girls vibes. Like even the name evokes that, not just because of the double G's, but because it's the name of the mother and daughter in a show that I thought was a fun romp, another fun romp like Gilmore Girls about a single mother who had her daughter when she was really young. But it is really nothing like Gilmore Girls. Oops. I am kind of hooked on it though. It's very dark. Yeah. It's pretty fucking dark, but I am kind of hooked on it. I haven't finished watching it. I don't partway through like season 2. I think there's 3 seasons maybe, but we'll see how I feel about it when I'm done.
Those are the things that worry me though, right? Because Gilmore Girls was a fantastic show. It was great, right? And it's like if they brought that back, at some point they're just going to kill the mom. They got to give Rory something to do. And I don't like that. Where it's like, dude, why can't the show just continue as it was with the creative writing, how funny it was and how witty it was? Like, why can't we just do another 7 seasons of that? Except they're just older now, which brings a better dynamic to it.
Well, they did the Gilmore Girls Year in the Life thing back in like 2017. Edward Herman, who played Grandpa Gilmore, he had passed away in real life. So his death actually was a pretty big plot point for Emily, especially. But that's so different. What are they going to do? Recast Grandpa Gilmore? Fuck no.
Yeah, no. That makes more sense. That's more natural writing to me.
All right. Have you been reading anything?
Yeah, actually, I got back into reading some of the, not books per se, but getting back into the Taoism philosophy and stuff like that, which is really cool. Zen-like kind of things, it's not the same thing. People would crucify me for saying that, but it's along those lines of that genre. So yeah, I've just been getting kind of back into that. Nothing like concrete reading something from start to finish, just more kind of bouncing around, going down the rabbit hole, just in the spiritual book mode.
Still counts.
Yeah.
For me, it's like usually I have 10 billion things to talk about in this section, but reading, what is reading?
Well, no, especially after the month you just went through with the move and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No way. Yeah.
I haven't had time. I've been reading the same book for weeks now. Like I started reading it the week of or the end of the week before I left California. And I'm like within 30 pages of being finished. It's not even a long book. It's like 350 pages. But the name of the book is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. And like, it's good. The prose is wonderful, but the story is not capturing my castle. Har, har, har. And then audiobooks. I did get through one audiobook, The Identicals by Erin Hildebrand, I think. This is not something that would have ever grabbed my attention on its own, but I listened to it for like a little family and friends book club that my sister wanted to start. And it had like a good premise. It's about 2 twins. It's basically like an adult parent trap sort of thing where like these twin girls, their parents got divorced and they knowingly, like one went with one parent and one went with the other. So they all know where the other sibling is and whatever. Like it's not a parent trap in that whole, like I discover I have a secret twin sister, because they were like in their teens when their parents got divorced. But yeah, it had a good premise, but the three main point of view characters were so dumb and awful for over half the book. And then when they did seem to grow as characters, it was like it happened overnight. Also, don't even get me started on the fact that if this author has ever owned a dog, she certainly cannot have been a good dog parent, because wow, 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 wow. One of the main characters, she has a husky. She's feeding her dog. At one point, she notes that she's feeding him tea sandwiches by like the dozen. And then she's like, then there was the time he ate half a dozen donuts. How is this dog not dead? And then the author is like, huskies aren't known as shedders.
Yeah.
What? Like, I'm pretty sure everybody who knows anything about dogs knows that huskies shed like fucking crazy. And also, I had a husky. So,
yeah. And I can tell you firsthand that I know zero about dogs, but I definitely know that huskies shed.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, you have to brush them at least once a week. If you're only doing it once a week, and even probably if you're doing it more, you brush them and it's like poof, poof, hair everywhere. Huskies aren't known as shedders. What the fuck? And then at one point she was talking about feeding her dog rawhides. And I was like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
Rawhides are so bad for dogs. Anyway, that's my reading for the month. Have you been playing anything?
No, just games with life. That's it.
Yeah, I just got my PlayStation set up at my house here in South Carolina like a few days ago. Hopefully by the time I have this out as a podcast, I will have played something, but yeah.
Is there anything you're looking forward to playing that is not Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yeah, not really. Like I'm hoping I'll play something again soon, but I don't have the money to buy any new games, and everything else I own, I don't like it or just don't care about it. Probably I'll end up playing some Red Dead just to play something if I play anything. And honestly, that also depends on time, because I'm still trying to like go through my house and get ready for Dragon Con, and also go through my house and get rid of stuff like trash bags and boxes full of stuff that I need to get rid of to make room for other people. So have you been listening to anything?
A lot of the same. I've been listening to a podcast about weird stuff, again, just I've been going down the rabbit hole like on every end for some reason this month. Maybe it's like another existential crisis I'm having or something. I don't know. But no, a lot of the same, just a lot of that like lo-fi, a lot of jazz, just kind of calming music, what I call my ADHD music. It's the stuff I listen to when I work, stuff like that, but nothing really show-stopping or anything.
Podcasts for me, the audiobook that I just mentioned, but once I finished with that, I went back to this podcast called Normal Gossip. Cam and I listened to a couple episodes of it on the drive, but he wasn't super into it. And he was like, I have a similar thing that I'm more into. And in the end, it worked out perfectly because I was as into the thing that he was more into as well. But the Normal Gossip podcast, it's basically like the host has 1 to 2 guests, usually just one guest. They have stories that they've been sent or that they've heard from like a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend or a friend. And they change, the names and they change enough details to make it as like anonymous as possible, but it's basically like a gossip story. And then they talk about it throughout. Some of them are great. And some of them are just like, that was a thing I just listened to. But at this point, it's like most of the other shows I had been listening to, I either gave up on for one reason or another, or they're not putting out episodes that really like interest me right now, or they're like, I'm just kind of waiting for them to pile up a few new episodes so that I have like new stuff to listen to. Probably very soon, I'm going to start listening to some more specific things surrounding the many Dragon Con panels I'm on to like refresh my memory about some stuff. So my listening next month is probably going to be like, I had to listen to all these things to try to like prime my brain for Dragon Con panels. But any upcoming events or things that we are excited about, Manny?
Dragon Con Sunday party, dude. That's what's coming up right now.
Are you going to go to the con like outside of that, or you better, because we're talking about it on Drinking Con next week?
No, like I'm going to, obviously. Like I'll at least have 2 days out there at least, but most likely 3 when I take some time off, so I can at least go out there just to peruse around, at least do something. Dragon Con is a little different for me now because I haven't really had any costumes or anything. It's a little more on the lonely side sometimes, but definitely be there for the Sunday party. And I'll be walking around probably. I always have the same thoughts right before where I'm like, well, maybe I won't this year and then I just wind up going anyway. So it doesn't matter. Don't listen to me. I'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, same. Dragon Con is the only upcoming thing. The whole concept of this section is like things we're excited about. And I'm like, well, I'm like sort of excited about Dragon Con. I'm so behind on like any sort of preparation. I have very few like costume sort of things that I'm thinking about doing this year with the move and everything. I just don't have time. haven't had time. I mean, listen, like a month and a half or more prepping for the move, then like the move, and now winding down from and like kind of having to re-prep for people to move into my house it is not top of my mind. And I don't know, we'll see what happens with prep and costumes or whatever. But if you are listening to this as a podcast and you haven't watched Drinking Con, the Drinking Con webcast yet, definitely check it out. It'll be on the Geek Saga YouTube channel, youtube.com/ I think it's like /a Geek Saga. It might just be youtube.com/ a Geek Saga. I can't remember, but so it'll be on there as a webcast. And then the podcast version of it actually will probably come out before this podcast even does. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it for right now.
As we close out the episode, we once again want to give a huge thanks to our patrons for their support. Make sure to check out our other Geek Saga show series, including Media That Made Us, and 90s and Naughties Cringe Factor, the impulsive hyper-focused solo episodes, and more. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, or rate us 5 stars wherever you're watching or listening. And as always, please also consider supporting us by backing our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.